Hello, Xendergarteners! Welcome to this podcast, aka the worst Xenharmonic podcast. This is episode 8. So awesome! Woohoo!
Yeah!
So we are accompanied by me, Ground, user -1, Cam, Do2MTR or D, Abnormality, Inthar, and Dad Shaman. So say hello.
Hello. I'm very excited to be
You
here.
pronounced it right.
And me, don't forget me. Although I kind of deserve
Yay!
it because I left someone out when I introduced, so.
Yeah, didn't you leave me out?
Yeah, I think it was Ground.
It was an accident, though.
No, it's okay. I get it.
We are just about to get into like the second listening party of SVS 5. We have just released the EP, which is called
Spoogly
Adventure, and it is amazing. You guys should listen to it after listening to this podcast, or while you listen to this podcast. Who knows?
I've listened to it a lot.
Okay, awesome, great.
Do-do-do,
And-
do-do-do-do-do.
All right, we'll get to that later. But first of all, I want to say that I loved working on this podcast, especially like the songs.
Wait, you mean the EP? You
Yeah,
said
you mean-
podcast.
I liked working on this podcast,
I love working on this
especially the
podcast.
songs.
Podcast, EP, same
Wow,
thing.
you guys really got it together today. We're all very well organized today.
They're all sine waves anyway.
Exactly.
That is true. I mean, listen, I'm shooketh by the fact that I am presenting. I was like taken aback, like, what? I'm presenting this time? Oh no. So I'm like, podcast EP, my mind's all over the place. And yeah, but working on this EP was really fun.
You did a lot of the work, though. All I did was I helped with some of the production of the fourth song and did a lot of the work for the cover art of the EP, but that's about it.
You did fantastic on the cover art.
Yeah, awesome.
So, fun fact about the cover art. Originally, I was trying to do it, but it turns out I am like such an idiot with GIMP that, first of all,
Jimp,
I pronounced it
Jimp.
Jimp. And then also, I didn't know about any of like the anti-aliasing stuff. So then I was like, all right, Tristan, you know better than me. You got this. And Tristan blew it out of the park. So great job on the album art, especially the iridescent nail polish of the title on the rock in the background with the spoogly.
Yeah. The contrast.
By the way, I wrote the title text on like a whiteboard when I was like in my calc class. Like we were almost done with class, and I saw you guys like working on the cover art, and so like I like drew the words on a whiteboard because like there's whiteboards at my school, and yeah, and it turns out it got used.
Oh.
Cool.
I was the one who took the picture, but I wasn't even intending for Spoogly to get used in this album at all. That was everyone else's idea.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, what if we make this album about Spoogly? And I'm like, really? Okay, sure.
I mean, the last album was about Spoob, so this one is going to be about Spoogly. Maybe the next one is going to be about Skeek or something. Who knows?
Does that mean that the next one is going to be about Rocky?
Yeah,
It's Rockley, not Rocky.
Oh, Rockley. I'm so sorry.
Rocky BFD.
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, Rockley.
Rockley is the rock spoob that I made. Rocky is a character from Lackadaisy played by Michael Kovac, who's a wonderful voice actor. This is way off topic, but I just wanted
That's
to say
the
that.
first Rocky that came to your mind? I mean, I guess that tracks.
I mean, the first Rocky that comes to my mind is like...
Rocky from BFDI.
Yeah, Rocky from BFDI! Exactly.
Is nobody gonna mention Rocky Balboa? It seems weird. Is everyone too young at this point?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
That's the Rocky I was thinking of.
Is that one guy who climbs those stairs and then punches the air?
Yeah, punches the two
Yes.
kids. Oh.
Yes, it's that guy.
Yeah, that one's very funny.
For some reason, I think of like Rocky, like Bullwinkle's sidekick,
Oh, yeah. Rocky and Bullwinkle is another one.
because we have like a Bullwinkle's theme park, like just south of where I live. Maybe not like a theme park, but like a family fun center with a Bullwinkle's restaurant.
I feel like every episode of this podcast is a butterfly effect. Like, we come in to talk about SVS, and now we're talking about Rocky and Bullwinkle, I guess.
I was about to get back to SVS. Okay.
I love SVS.
Neurodivergent podcast.
Yeah.
It's not the butterfly effect, it's the spookly effect.
It's ADHD.
Speaking of the album cover, so let's talk about the album cover first because it is the first thing that we see about of the EP. So basically, yeah, the idea was for Ground's photo of Spoogly, aka the original photo of Spoogly, to be basically shown, and user -1 decided to like add some details. Oh yeah, and Ren as well, or Benjamin D.
Benjamin D just split the difference.
Yeah.
Benjamin D.
Benjamin.
Yeah, Ren is short for Benjamin.
Interesting. Benjamin.
D.
It's like the new scam to board meme where D just like says her name, or like, have you seen the John Lennon like Instagram BM thing where he's like, I need $50 to create the second edition of our album, and he's just like, imagine. I can't remember the full thing, but
Just imagine it.
If Luis Fonsi or whatever was like, give me $1 million so I can make Despacito 2, I would start a crowdfunding campaign. We are going to get Despacito 2 out to the world someday.
Great.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about server versus server. Where did Despacito come from?
Despacito 2.
Despacito is omnipresent.
You know that we worked on Despacito in the SBS 5, you know, right? That was track 2.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no. Okay.
I am so sorry I started this.
Okay. Anyways, so when I saw Benjamin's edits of the Spoogly image, I decided, why not just add adventure on the rock? You know, I was like in class. It was like a break between 2 periods, and I was like, sure. Let me just check the server, and I saw the images, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna take a screenshot, and I'm just gonna write adventure. And that idea became the actual album cover. So I wrote like best album cover ever while sending the image, and he said, unironically like this concept. And so, this became the idea for the art, the album art.
And since it used my picture, I ended up getting an album art credit for doing nothing.
Yay.
I suggested at one point that the Spoogly picture be really zoomed in to like just show a corner or like the eyes or something. That didn't end up happening. But when Ren tried to upload the video and come up with a thumbnail, the first thing that his image editing program did was crop it so that like only the top 2/3 of the image were visible. And it just showed Spoogly's eyes, and I was like, yes, that's perfect. We have to go with it. And everyone seemingly liked that idea. I still think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So since I'm actually going to be leaving in like 5 minutes, I wanted to say that I now have a 17 EDO approximately ukulele.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Basically a 17 EDO ukulele. And the way I did this was I bought a ukulele at my local music store. I was originally planning to put zip tie frets on a ukulele and take like the original frets off. But I saw this like old ukulele at the store, the music store, and it had this plastic fretboard on it that was held on by screws. So I found out that you could take those screws off and take the fretboard off with it. And I bought this ukulele because I realized, why not 3D print more fretboards for the ukulele instead of, taking the frets off and putting zip ties on instead. So now I have a 3D printed fretboard.
Is that like a cost saving thing? The fact it was just screwed on instead of glued or whatever?
I don't know. It may have been like an aftermarket thing. The ukulele I have is like 65 years old, but I also got new strings for it, so it's tuned differently. Well, better actually. Instead of doing like standard ukulele tuning, like G, C, E, A, it's now tuned in all fourths, so it sounds like this. It's a little out of tune. So if I tune that up and this up, there we go.
Oh yeah.
So that's tuned in all fourths,
Yay.
and so I can play. That's not good. I can do that. So that's one thing, and then I can play like different scales. Excuse how bad my playing is, but
Anyone else think this is kind of weird for a concert?
yeah, this would be a
Huh?
super weird concert instrument, especially because it's not a concert ukulele, it's a soprano. I got a soprano because it could fit in my backpack.
Run it through a distortion amp.
I mean, I could if I just mic'd it.
Yeah.
Speaking of ukuleles, I used to have a ukulele. I might still have it actually. I'm not sure. Anyway, I used to have this ukulele. Obviously, when I got it for Christmas, I don't remember when, it had frets on it. Eventually, I took all the frets off, and I think I filled the gaps with like some sort of wood filler, and then sanded it down slightly so that it would function like a fretless instrument. And then I put guitar strings on it and kind of picked different ones so I could tune it in fifths like a viola, even though it would probably like a soprano ukulele, so that might have not been the best instrument to do it on. I had quite a lot of fun with that for a while.
I'm never going to pull the frets out of a bass ever again. I did it once
Merry
on a
Christmas.
knockoff P bass, and the whole experience just sucked. And it's just way easier to buy a fretless bass. But I was a teenager and didn't have any other basses, and I was just dumb. The screw-on fretboard idea is a really good one. I've been planning to build the ultimate bass for a bit, and I originally started considering putting screws in the fretboard because I want to use some sort of aluminum surface for fretless stuff to give the strings a little bit more high end. I think there's not very much information on like aluminum or steel fretboards. I think I want to go with steel, but the problem is it might bend because it has a different coefficient of thermal expansion than the wood that's behind it, so it would delaminate. So I thought about putting screws on, and then I was like, actually, what if I just made an entire interchangeable fretboard system? I still have to design it, but it's definitely a potentially useful concept.
I think I have to. Yeah, my ride is here, and like as of 3 minutes ago, so I really need to get
Good luck
going.
at your friend's birthday party.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, I hope you win. I hope you win your friend's birthday.
Bold of you to assume I have friends.
Farewell, Tristan.
Goodbye.
Bad bye. Bad bye,
Bad
because
bye.
that's
Bad
what
bye.
you told us.
Bad
Great.
bye.
What's a good day? Make it a bad day.
Yeah.
Mediocre bye.
Why would you do that? This is a kid. This is
Yeah.
Xendergarten.
That is
Because
rude.
Tristan said it first. Tristan said bad bye before, so I'm just returning the favor.
That's so mean. Why would you do that?
It's what menaces do.
It was funny, right?
That's so mean. Why
Yes.
would you do that?
Yeah, it was funny. I say bad
Mm.
bye sometimes. I absolutely love that word.
Heaven no.
What? That word? That's 2 words.
Bad bye. Wait, hold on once. No, goodbye is 1 word. So I assumed bad bye
Oh.
would also be 1 word, right?
You're right. I was being dumb again.
Okay, what about mediocre by? What do you guys think of that one?
Mediocre by.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious by.
That's 3 words.
No, it isn't. It's just one.
But 3's my favorite number.
Just imagine you're in an argument with someone. You're like, this is 3 words. They're like, why? You're like, it's because 3 is my favorite number.
But 3 is my favorite number.
That's like the most spoogly argument I've ever heard for something. Speaking of arguments, let's talk about server versus server.
Oh wow, that was smooth.
I did like most of the work on the first 2 songs somehow. I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised. Although D composed a lot of the melody stuff for the first song, and I just tweaked it. You know, like
Da 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 da.
Okay, 2 of you hit like a perfect harmony for like half a second.
Yes, that's true.
Wait, how
Yay.
did the process of collaboration go? Like, what was that like?
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, let's start with the first song. So
wait. Well, hang on. Let me take this one. You didn't work on the first song. Let me do this. So, yeah, about the first song. I'm not going to explain, like, the whole thing, because you can just listen to it yourself. I'm not going to, like, do a walkthrough. But to answer Cam's question, so collaboration was mostly just sending, like, Reaper projects and MIDI back and forth for the most part. That's also why I didn't really work directly on the 4th song, because Aramax and Tristan did that using FL Studio. Oh, also, the train sound in the first song was made by this user Dog with a Bone who used FL Studio for that, so he just sent me, like, the raw audio for that, and I put that in. And also, to make the chords line up, I, like, rendered out, like, just these basic chords, then sent it to him so he could process it to sound like a train, and then he sent it back, and that's how that worked. And then, of course, with D and I, we were just sending, like, the MIDIs back and forth and stuff, so that was nice. Yeah. And then Steven sang the intro vocals that I composed that are gliding, which is, like, so amazing that Steven did that. It was fantastic. Hey, D, do you want to comment on any of, like, the melody you composed for, like, the first song?
Oh yeah, I put notes down until it sounded good.
I don't know why you expected any answer other than that.
I mean, I do the same thing.
that's true. That's just D being D.
I love rectangles. Well, wait, no, I shouldn't love them. They have 4 sides, and this is a no 2 temperament.
Okay.
This is a 3-side temperament.
What made you decide to do, like, those tiny, like, glissandos, though, at, like, the beginning and ends of notes? Because that's, like, such a... Is that, like, a Tuhu stylistic sort of thing? I know you're kind of into that. Or am I just... Sorry, am I being dumb again?
I don't know. I just do it. I guess it's a Toho thing. But also I just do it.
Oh, it's
'Cause it's-
Toho. Are you laughing because I mispronounced
Oh,
it?
you were talking about Toho?
I'm sorry, did you just say two?
Yeah, I did not know you were talking about Toho.
Yes, you're
Oh my
kidding.
God.
Freaking brain.
Everybody is clipping all at once.
Yeah.
The two-hoo. That's the sound the train makes.
I don't know if I have to ask a question now. Never mind.
Well, it stopped everyone from whatever it was that they were doing, so that's good because I didn't know what it was.
Everybody was laughing at me for pronouncing Toho wrong. I didn't know how it was supposed to be pronounced. I'm sorry.
Well, now you know.
okay?
It's pronounced Tao Hao. How he.
Did you call it Tohao?
Tohao, Taohao, Tuhu, same difference, whatever.
Yeah, I think Tohao is like a pretty reasonable English pronunciation.
All right. Also, user -1, are you the one who added the lick in there?
Yes, I'm the one that added the lick in there. Fun fact, I added it twice. There was that one part that's more obvious to hear, but then there's a part where it's a lot more subtle playing in a background instrument, and nobody noticed. It's brilliant.
I will find it and I will comment on the video with the timestamp so everyone will now know and it will no longer be a secret because that is evil for you to just hide it in there. Subliminal lickening.
Since we're talking about the first track, let's also talk about the visuals for it. Because Xeno did a great job at the visuals. Oh, I'm so jealous of Xeno and how he can do like 3D effects.
Wait, editor note. You should play the spoogly gif with the one from the.
The what?
That was such a funny sound.
You know, it sounds like the sound that Yoshi makes.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
did that.
Like, hey, remember that thing? You know, the kind of, right? It's like sort of a, right? You know that thing? It kind of goes.
All right.
Like that. Yeah, you know that thing.
Yeah, so in the beginning, the song was in 15 EDO, from what I remember. Yeah, it was in 15 EDO, and then it segued after the title card popped in, so it was like Adventure. By the way, I just want to show you, for like one singular frame, this orange popped up.
Oh my! Oh, Oogly!
My name is Oogly.
Wait, sporange is an actual word, right? Like
sporange?
So we can't name it sporange.
Is sporange a real word?
Yeah, sporange is the word that rhymes with orange.
I can make banana rhyme with orange. Oogly.
Anyways, yeah, we did not know what to put in one singular frame. Like Ren and I were like in a call, and Ground, from what I remember, and some other people.
I came up with the caption.
Yeah. You came up with the caption. I remember.
I wanted to make it in the style of an impact font meme, for some reason.
Oogly. Bottom text.
And now we have this brand new character called My Name is Oogly. Hello. Okay, how about the second song, the New World Adventure? AKA Serendipitous Arrival.
May I ask one question about the first song before we go to the second one?
Yeah, of course.
What were your how you managed to do harmony in 15 EDO? What were the main ideas of like doing harmony in 15 EDO?
Okay, so let me just clear something up. So what AirMax didn't mention is that 15 EDO is only for the very first part of the chord progression, and then it switches to a ternary scale that uses a 2.3.7.29 subgroup temperament.
I love ternary because 3 steps, number 3 is my favorite number.
Valid choice.
So about the 15 EDO, I think I was mostly just using like 5 limit harmony as approximated by 15 EDO, which has an interesting character to it. And then later, the whole gimmick is the scale I was using. It's sort of like a double diatonic scale where I guess like a sort of double Zarlino where you have like minor septimal intervals, but then you also have their 29 limit counterparts, which is kind of like the pental minor intervals, but just a bit sharper. And so the gimmick was sort of switching between those throughout the song. And I think it really helps like add to the character of the song because yes, it's diatonic, but it switches between 2 different flavors of diatonic baked into the same scale, and it works nicely that way.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds awesome. Sounds really awesome. I'm glad we discussed this.
Yeah.
Also, one more random thing. I just wanted to point out that to make the kick drum absolutely slap, I had to put a custom dispersion effect on it that I coded up in JSFX, which is basically a bunch of stack of all-pass filters that kind of makes the frequencies have a frequency-dependent delay from high to low. So instead of like a single impact, it sounds a bit more like a fast sweep, and that makes the kick drum hit harder.
Yo, send me that, gang. I need that.
That sounds really cool.
The term all-pass filter always makes me do a double take because in my mind, an all-pass filter is a filter that lets every frequency through, as in not a filter.
I mean, it does.
It really
All it
does.
does is just delay based on the frequency.
The thing about filters in audio production is that it's kind of a process that you apply to an audio signal that kind of changes the frequency response of a signal. But the thing is, it's not just the amplitudes of the frequencies that change, it's also the phase. Because, like, when you apply a low-pass filter or a high-pass filter, it adds a tiny bit of phase shift, like, to certain frequencies. So what an all-pass filter does is it passes all frequencies equally to where they are at the same amplitude as they were, but it changes the phase relationships between the frequencies. So all of the content is still there, it's just a bit smeared out through time. It is quite confusing, but all-pass filtering is really useful for, like, kind of spreading out frequencies, which is also why it's sometimes called dispersing them. And also, you don't need to pay kilohertz $60 to get that dispersion effect. You can do it for free in either JSFX, because I made one, or LMMS, because Lost Robot made one. He is fantastic at making free plugins for LMMS, by the way. Anyway, yeah.
You can also just like spam the all pass filter in RIA EQ too, even though it'll be really, really laggy after like 60 plus bands of it.
The way you were explaining how filters worked really takes me back to one of my electrical engineering classes. I think I just blocked all of that out. But yes, the term all-pass filter does make sense once you take into account the phase shift, but it's much funnier to imagine it as just a filter that doesn't do anything.
I used to think that's what it was for like a long time.
Or even better, phase shift every frequency equally.
No.
And I don't mean phase shift relative to the frequency. I mean phase shift not relative to anything, just absolute. So you just move it a little bit forward and now all of the notes are late.
Oh, wow.
If you really want to make good music, make the timing extremely frustrating. It'll keep your audience very engaged because they'll be trying to throw rocks at you.
What's something that's even funnier than an all-pass filter is this joke idea that I came up with a long time ago called a no-pass filter that passes none of the frequencies. This was a while ago, and I was thinking about the marketing for this, and I was thinking about, does your mix sound really bad? Put a no-pass filter on it and it'll sound better, because there will be no sound, and it sounds better than your mix if your mix is really bad. And I was just thinking about, like, imagine how you could fool people by, like, just purely using marketing to make something seem a lot more amazing than it actually is.
Dehydrated water. Just add water.
Okay, I have an idea. How about a one-pass filter? It's like a theoretical version of a filter that lets exactly one frequency through and nothing else. Obviously, it wouldn't be entirely feasible, but theoretically, it only lets one frequency through, and it's like the filter version of a laser.
You should
Yeah.
like make it a 3-pass filter, so like it'll be aligned with my favorite number.
You know what?
Of course.
I would really love it if we just gave Ground an idea of a filter to all the 432 hertzers, and then just like let them just listen to their only frequency being 432, and then have them basically make their own hell for themselves by their own choosing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Where they're only listening to a certain frequency of a song. Yeah, see how aligned their chakras are after that.
Yeah, there's the marketing for it. The one-pass filter. Align your chakras or whatever.
Love that.
Damn, actually, I think it might be possible. Not the true one-pass filter, but a very good approximation is possible, I'm pretty sure.
We would have to approximate it. Or what we could do is use the really good approximation to detect when the frequency is being played and then just don't actually filter the audio, just add a synthesized sine wave in whenever that frequency is being played and modulate the volume or whatever.
Or wait, hang on. I just came up with another idea. I'm calling it a multi-pass filter. It's like a one-pass filter, except you can specify it for multiple specific frequencies. So basically, you could just make
It has to be 3 only.
Stop. So you could make it be like all the frequencies for like, I don't know, like 17 EDO, and then just put a 12 EDO song through that, and then you could technically call it 17 EDO because it's only letting through 17 EDO frequency.
It's just a really terrible version of auto-tune or melody or whatever.
Nah,
Yeah.
pitch correction? No, we just delete the bad pitches.
Instead of calling it auto-tune, we should call it manual tuning.
I actually wonder how that would sound if every frequency, every harmonic of a 12 Edo song we only took the 17 Edo frequencies. That's an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
It's kind of close to the idea of vocoding.
Yeah.
So, the actually funny story, you guys remember when I made that Xendergarten can on my channel?
Oh, yeah.
It was.
I love it. I love that.
Because I wanted it to be in 7 Edo, literally the way I did that is I just vocoded the original can to a stack of sine waves, like that one can remix everyone uses. Except, at the first time I did it, the bass was really muddy, so then what I did instead is, for the bass frequencies, I made it to where it was only, like, the sine wave, and then, like, maybe the sine wave an octave above and stuff, at the frequency that the bass was playing. Because, like, the vocoding with, like, the stack of sine waves, it only really works for, like, the high frequencies and not the lower ones. And for the lower ones, I have to make, like, the carrier for the vocoder actually kind of match, like, the bass frequencies in the original, like, at least in terms of the notes they're playing. And I think it worked pretty well. I also had to do some, like, spectral processing to make it come across a bit better, but I think it sounded okay. I mean, if you listen to it, it doesn't really sound too bad.
I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
It was very peaceful. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Can we get back to SVS?
Yeah, I wanted to play like a cricket sound effect, but then I realized that this doesn't have sound effects. User -1. I'm actually really impressed by what you did. Like you worked on so many songs, like the second one as well. Oh, you could tell us about the second track.
Yeah, I guess I will. I will be using my vocal cords to invade your ears even more because I did so much on this album. Anyway, for the second one, Serendipitous Arrival, well, it's really funny. So, at the time of recording this episode, yesterday is actually when I was editing the last one, episode 7, just writing it out, and I remember Tristan saying something about 26 and 27 kind of having this interesting, like, very different vibes, even though they're right next to each other. And what's funny about that is Serendipitous Arrival is in 26 Edo for about the first half or so, and then it's in 27 Edo. And I think it comes across really well. And, like, even though I really enjoyed working on the composition of that, and I also like the parts where it goes into Slendrick 5L1S and Onirotonic using the 13 Edo Onirotonic. I think one of the best parts of Serendipitous Arrival is actually the visuals that Aramax drew for that. So you want to talk about that?
Oh boy. Okay. Let's go from the beginning. First of all, I have to give credit where credit is due. Wad, he worked on the ideas for the plants and stuff, that are present in the video. Like, yeah, he basically did most of the concepts. I came up with some, but like I came up with the backgrounds and stuff, but I was heavily inspired by what he did. So first of all, we begin in I basically did the background separately, and then I animated the spoogly gif. So my thought process was like, okay, I have really high hopes. I'm going to make this a full-on music video. Every single frame is going to be no, but yeah, that did not pan out as I intended it to. But what I want to say is that I am really proud of how like each background was. I'm not as proud as the green background that is present in the video, but I'm really happy with just everything about this video. I also have to like thank Ren for like editing, putting all of these pieces together because I only did the GIFs. Like I only did the beginning of the video. I like arranged I made just PNGs and GIFs of Spoogly. and I had to like piece that together in Sony Vegas, but because it took so long, I had to give it to Ren, and yeah, he did a lot. This took like the most time in the editing process, but I think
Yeah.
that hard work paid off because dang, this is just so impressive.
It absolutely is. I just have to interject to mention how much I love the visuals for track 2.
Thank you.
It's so spoogly.
Honestly, I would be a little bored if not for the visuals. The visuals are the best in the album. And it's interesting to me, I was watching the first of the 2 SVS streams yesterday, and I noticed how few of the visualizers really did anything narratively. Like, it's usually just cool patterns or background footage, ambient footage with effects on it. I think what we did for the visualizer was pretty unique, and I really hope it ends up getting recognized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I guess we'll find out. Well, I hope you guys liked the music too, because I worked pretty hard on it.
Yeah. The music just shapes the video.
You know how I am with my music, I crave chaos. I actually really did like the usage of Onirotonic and Slendrick.
Yeah, I was about to talk about that. So something interesting is this is not time for There's Something Else. There's Something Else is for something else time, okay?
Yeah, but
just let me talk here.
Something else time.
Slendrick.
Yes, I did write a small piece in Slendrick that There's Something Else also uses. But what I wanted to say, and Inthar will be very happy to hear, that composing that section was like the first time that I realized just how lovely Onirotonic is. I wrote it off for so long because it seems like it just doesn't hold up at all. Like, it doesn't really have many chords that are JI-like, at least like in the 13-Edo tuning. But like when I was writing it, like it didn't sound dissonant to me at all. And it didn't sound like atonal. It sounded very musical and tonal, but also alien, but it worked. And I was so shocked by that. So this is to say, apologies for not appreciating Onirotonic as much as maybe I could have. And also to say, Inthar, you have some great taste in tunings because Onirotonic is brilliant and I never realized.
Yeah.
Thanks. What did you do for the fourth song? Max, you were the main contributor to track 4, so can you talk about that, please?
Oh, I just want to get to some other stuff in the previous tracks because I just want to say like the video for the second track was like the most tiring process of the video. And what I did was that like I took a sheet of paper and I had to write an entire storyboard for the music video. It is in the ZenAP server. If you look in the voice text, there are actual images with instructions on what to do and how to edit how to put the things together. But I'm really glad with how it turned out, seriously. And
Yeah, I think you did amazing with the visuals. And I just think it's so great that like the visuals not only have a really brilliant aesthetic because you're really good at art, Aramax, but also that they match the aesthetic of the music so well. And also, if we ever make a Xenharmonic game, I would like one of the places to be in that setting, like that's kind of like what you drew, Aramax, and maybe has music that's kind of like what I composed. Because, like, I kind of want to explore that land, even though it's completely fictional.
yeah. I really do want to thank you, though, User Minus One, because this song, it, like, went exactly, like, how I wanted it to. You know, the scenery that I had in mind, like, went exactly by this song. Whenever I just listened to it, I was like, yes, this is going to happen. Yeah, this is what it looks like. You know, you have like such I don't know. Your composition is like it makes me think really easily. Like it helps me visualize it. I don't know. I feel like that's like a skill that many musicians just don't have. And yeah, it's very impressive.
In terms of narrative and how the music syncs up with the visuals, I think track 2 is by far the best.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Track 4 was really great, though.
Thank you. But this is not the spotlight for track 4 yet. We are going to track 3, and I just want to say that when Spoogly goes to sleep in the forest, that was completely unintentional. I did not even realize that Spoogly woke up in a forest with his friends. And also, I have to credit Wad for making the painting or image that transitions to the third track.
I just wanted to mention one more thing about track 2, that like in switching from the 26 Ito section to the 27 Ito section, my intention was to have that sort of convey like that Spoogly was sort of going to sleep like as the 26 Ito section was ending, and then the 27 Ito would be the sunrise for the next song. That was my intention, so I'm glad at least part of that came across, but I never realized that you could like just as easily interpret the 27 Ito section as being more of a dream. And I think that actually makes a lot of sense for the narrative, especially as like the next day is kind of like track 3 with all of the friends that Dee made, which also she did a fantastic job with those. They're just so aesthetic. Of course, little Sawtooth, what a cute little guy. He's just a little guy.
Sawtooth is my favorite. It's Sawtooth. It's just he is my child.
And yeah. So Superstar Saga, he did like the chords for the 27 Ito part, if I'm not wrong.
He did like the basis of the chords, and I kind of just like stacked more intervals on top of them to get them to sound a bit more flavorful. And I kind of changed the chord progression slightly at the end, like to where the last chord just slightly went up one step of 27 from C. And I also really liked that chord at the end. Actually, Ground, I was wondering, what do you think about the harmony in that 27 Ito section? I know you're a big 27 Ito enjoyer.
Oh, I thought it was great. I could definitely hear a lot of chordal stuff, and I think it works well with the tuning, and I also think it works well narratively fitting at the end of track 2.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay, so we get into track 3. So Zastery is the one who made the song, and yeah, it was really cool. It had like a really happy feeling, which is indeed like the intended outcome of the song, of the emotions. And I just want to say that I am perplexed by how good Zastery is at mixing, because the user -1, if I'm not wrong, and we basically did like little Foley, like woohoo, yay, that those kinds of like little sounds, and they were scattered throughout the song.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly. But I did not hear any of it. That's how good it was mixed. Like it disappeared into the song.
Zastery is definitely the mixing expert as far as I'm concerned for the last SVS. When I was crunching to get track 5 finished, I basically pinged him, or you could say I pung him. That's the real past tense. And I was like, hey, I know we got like 2 hours to get this thing done.
Bing, bang,
Please
bong.
tell me if my mix is all messed up. I need to know. And he gave me some pointers on how to put the vocals in
I
there.
remember I was in a call with you. Yeah.
We'll talk about track 5. I have a lot to say about track 5, because those few days where I was finally like getting it finished were absolute chaos.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the visuals. Okay.
But first, track 4. Aramax makes the hottest 21 Ito EDM of the century.
Wait. I got something else to say about track 3.
All right.
So about the friends, they have names. Let me find them real quick.
Really? Oh, that's so adorable!
What was that?
Okay,
Is this the chocolate chip incident all over again?
Oh, speaking of chocolate chips,
The what incident?
The chocolate chip incident. You know, when user -1 ate a bunch
It
of...
was episode 6 of Xendergarten, right?
It was episode 5.
Yeah, I really want to eventually sample User -1. User -1's chocolate chip chaos. Because that would be
You're
fun.
gonna sample it? Is that what you said?
Yes, I will sample it.
Yes, I will sample it.
Sample.
Thank you for copying my accent.
You're welcome. Yeah, but I think that would be fun to just like take a little snippet of it and then see what I can turn it into, because I don't sample stuff too much.
Yeah, feel free to do that, honestly. It would be funny. Yeah, sometimes I have too much energy. Sorry, guys.
I'll have to figure out if the sampler in Ableton can support microtuning, but I'd want to do it in 7EDO because I think you like that as much as you like chocolate chips.
Music for chocolate chips. 7EDO.
Yes, I am a big 7EDO enjoyer. I will
Me too.
admit that.
I love 7.
Same.
Oh wait, who said same? That sounded like me.
What? I sound like you? Okay.
What was...
Hey.
Okay, let's get into track 4. And oh boy.
Wait, don't you have the list of names?
Yeah. Okay. So starting from the orange one in the top left corner is named Leica because I thought they looked like a fox and I thought it would be cute. Middle left is Skeek made by Wad. Skeek is awesome. I am Skeek's biggest fan. The one on the bottom left corner is Afin, the tired one. They used to be named Avipin, but then I changed it because I don't know. And then the one above Spoogly that looks like a lily pad is just named Lily. And
Oh,
then
that's cute.
the triangle one is named D because...
Is it the one with the wings?
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
And then Flyringle, the yellow one with wings, Flyringle. I made Flyringle in like middle school actually. It was for like a middle school English assignment. And then the butterfly is named Roy, but it's spelled RHOI because I like that spelling better. And of course, the one in the bottom right is Sawtooth, aka Awesome.
Woohoo! Sawtooth!
Sawtooth is my friend.
More like Sawsome, am I right?
But
I like how my computer crashes when my favorite track of the EP is being discussed.
don't worry, we're still talking about the track 3.
D, have you ever heard of Bendy and the Ink Machine?
No.
Okay, good. Because I was showing the album to my boyfriend, and during track 3, he looked at the lily pad friend and was like, "That's Bendy and the Ink Machine." And I'm like, "No, it isn't. It's the lily pad friend. No, it is not Bendy. There is no ink machine to be found, frankly, as far as I'm concerned."
Well, because it's Xendergarten, I think it would be a crayon machine.
A crayon machine, right. That's exactly
Well,
true.
I did style them to be like crayon. So I guess it's a crayon machine now.
It's a crayon machine.
Wait, that's what the Xenharmonic game will be called. Spoogly and the Crayon Machine.
Yeah! And then like Spoogly goes to get crayons and save the world.
It's like a first-person horror game based on Xenharmonic. Like, you try to understand the Zen wiki.
First-person shooter? More like first-person spoober, am I right?
Oh my god, that is... Oh. Okay.
Now I'm just imagining Spoogly with like a gun and then like
Shooting Xenharm... I don't know.
How would Spoogly shoot a gun? Spoogly is a single-celled organism.
magic.
Laser eyes. Spoogly has laser eyes.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what horizontal gene transfer would lead to laser eyes evolving
Magic.
in a dinoflagellate. Is that how you pronounce that? I don't even know. I don't know.
Spoogly is just putting a one-pass filter on the light.
Yeah, I was just about to say Spoogly's eyes are one-pass filters.
They're not eyes, they're oceloids. They're different. Actually, maybe they count as eyes. I don't know.
Track 4.
Is track 4 even that good? Okay.
It's awesome. I love track 4.
It's the hottest 21 EDO EDM of the century.
EDO EDM?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Track 4 is my favorite on the album.
Yeah, track 4
definitely.
is my favorite.
It has everything. And honestly, I think it would be a pretty good example of what you could show someone who doesn't know about Zen to say, this is what we do here.
Yes.
Yeah, my go-to for indoctrinating people into the Zen cult is probably Sevish Gleam, Jumble, Green Tea Spa. I think also.
No, Blast Up was the one that blasted off.
Yeah, I really like Green Tea Spa. It's very nice. It's very good.
7.
Yeah, 7.
What year is this? I like What Year Is This by
Oh, I
Sevish.
love What Year Is This?
I love
Yeah.
What Year Is This?
That was the first Sevish song I've ever heard, and it just felt like home.
Did you know it's the year of 2020 Spook?
Bow, wow, wow, wow.
The year Spoogly graduated.
Oh, actually, speaking of that, I'm like thinking up of a list that like guides through people, like the first songs of Savage that you can listen to, like the most beginner friendly Xenharmonic songs from each Xenharmonic artist, So I'm like ranking them based on like how foreign they are, like the least foreign ones are the first ones. Yeah, this is like for the Xenharmonic project called Zentroduction that I'm making. It's going to be a YouTube series. Anyways,
I think Zero Nothings is actually a pretty good beginner Zen song.
yeah. Bum, 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 bum.
I feel like most of Savage's songs are like good beginner Zen songs.
Did you just say Sevich? It's Sevish, not Sevich.
Oh wait! Oh no! I said Sevish, not Savage.
Sandwich.
I was about to say that.
I did it first. I love listening to Sandwich. My favorite song.
Okay,
please.
wait. Okay, we need to talk about episode 4 so we can talk about episode 5 so we can finish at a decent time. Okay, go.
You mean track 5?
Yeah, I mean track 4 and 5, sorry.
Okay, Spiggly goes out into hyperspace and explores. Oh my god, there's more? So much more to learn! Wow!
Attention passengers, we are about to leave. Please, oh wait, I forgot what the...
I was the one who did that voiceover, not you. Don't impersonate me. I know you did it first, but I was the one who made it into the final thing. Don't impersonate me. Don't take my job.
Okay! Okay, anyways. I did most of the song, like the most of the one half. Like, I did the beginning of the song. A Dog with a Bone did the second part. I began with the that part, that arpeggio. It was actually just like one arpeggio following along the chords, and then I like copy pasted it, and then I put a fifth on top of it. And I also decided to make, what about an accompanying melody? And that became the Odyssey, so much more, no time to waste. So the Odyssey, so much more, no time to waste melody was actually supposed to play along with the arpeggio. Right? Okay, first of all, why did I choose 21? That was because the previous song that I worked on was the second song in the album. Yeah, the deleted user album, which was Mirage Haze. And it was also in 21. And yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that one. That was like the first time I've ever like uploaded an actual song. That's the first time I've ever worked on an actual song. And it was a very special experience. I did it in one setting because I used to have like the demo version, like the beta demo version, yeah. Like the trial version of FL Studio, and that means if you quit, then that project is gone forever. So yeah, I'm super glad with how the second, not the second track, the fourth track turned out, because it turned out exactly how I envisioned it. So in the beginning, I had like the drums and I had like the chords and the arpeggio, and I did not know what to do for the mixing because it was just a mess. Like if you listen to one of the tracks that were in the progress, the kick you would hear that it basically like if shot through your ears. That's how loud it was. So I'm glad the mixing went better. And yeah, I had to like rewrite the entire song over again. And I'm really happy. And like Tristan as well, he gave me some instructions basically with the project file, the LP. And yeah, when I wrote the lyrics, I want to say that This song is in 9/8, which made the lyrics really hard to make. But I want to showcase a thing from a bit ago. Like I had Odyssey, so much more, no time to like, this first verse is okay. But in the second verse, Odyssey, can't believe that I am here. All my worries disappear in the vast expanse and drifts away. And energy is to reach infinity. And I cannot wait to see where to go and be. And then I don't know. And encounter things that aren't shown. Yeah, that was supposed to be it. But I changed my mind and I ended up with the energy has just reached infinity, but I cannot wait for everyone. Yeah, the whole existence, and yeah, uh, about the sound design.
Well, can I say something first?
Yeah, sure.
So while you were having a hard time writing lyrics for 9/8, I feel like I might have had a slightly harder time because I had to turn that 9/8 rhythm into swing for track 5.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It did not work. I did a lot of mangling of various motifs and lyrics to fit track 5
Yeah.
together. I just put the time signature into 12/16 as I usually do for swing and just approximated everything. I mean, that's also what I did, fitting everything into 37-Edo. But I spent like 2 hours trying to get it to work, and it just didn't.
Dang. I'm really sorry for making the song an 8, though.
No, I love it. I'm so glad you did. I love how we as Zen musicians are also more willing to be a little bit adventurous in terms of stuff like modulations, time signatures.
Adventurous.
Yes, we're adventurous.
Okay, by the way, I just want to say shout out to my biggest inspiration, Meta Room. His songs were like the driving force of like, yeah, this is what I need. And with Francium doing the vocals, I basically made the guide like, oh yeah, this is how the vocals should sound. This is how I envisioned the vocals to sound like. So I basically played the song from the laptop and I recorded it all with my iPhone and I sang. And yeah, that was the guide track. And Francium did a great job. And yeah, it ended up sounding a lot like Zia. By the way, about the second drop, when it goes all crazy and there are like pannings of different like splashes of drums and stuff like that. That's how it goes. I did a lot of there. Only if I could show the FLP how it looks there. It's a lot. Basically, the project ended up having like almost 100 different channels. That's how dense it was. Yeah, there was like a lot of automation, and it's probably not heard really well. Some other stuff that you may not hear that well is that in the beginning, I actually sing in a falsetto, Odyssey, 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 because it's like in groupings of 3. Shout out to D, her favorite number is 3.
Yay!
Anyways, yeah. The thing that I really do appreciate is user -1. You did a great job at like, attention passengers, we are about to leave.
Thank
Like,
you.
You have the perfect voice for that, for the announcer. Also, I used some of Ren's edits, like little Foley sound effects from the voice clips we did for the third track. And in the riser, like the very, very beginning, I actually used the first track, the steel pans, those.
Oh, that's what you used. I thought you used the chords.
Yeah, I used the steel pans.
Yeah, I can kind of hear it now that you mention it. Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. Also, just to say that, Francium, again, it sounds a lot like Zia, and I love that. I did not even realize that. Just like, oh, yeah, that's true. Huh. And
Zia as in ZIA or ZHEA?
ZIA.
Okay, gotcha. Just making sure. I was confused.
I was also confused. I thought you were talking about the other Zia, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess I can't really remember what she sounds like. Sure.
Oh no, now we have like two sound-alikes, not lookalikes.
Now, somebody needs to join the Xenharmonic Alliance and call herself Zia, like ZEYA.
Zaya.
Already on it.
No!
Zia, and Zia.
After it all makes sense, after that part, User -1 has like a great robot voice. Care to talk about that?
Well, before we do, you can explain the rest of the song, and then I'll explain like how I did that voice because it's a bit involved.
Yeah. So he's a dog with a bone. He started doing the work after that, but I want to just delve into a little more of the process because I actually used the beginning vocals, like the intro vocals, like "Attention passengers, we are about to leave," but it's very distorted, and it's basically like fading in from like there's like a break, like a drum break, like it's really crazy, and then it fades out, right? With like consult your tram Zen own, and so on. And then I recorded myself whispering, and it was like something like, "I need so much more, so much more, so much more, more, more." It like becomes a scream, and that's how it transitions into the second part of the
Hey,
song,
I
which
also
is
did that kinda in track
Yeah.
5. Whisper becomes a scream.
What? Okay. Yeah. I need so much more, more, more. I mean, it's really like it's fading in. It like it blends in with the break core part, with the drums a little. But I hope that is a little audible. There are subtitles there are like captions in the video for the lyrics that we have not, written in the video. But one last thing. So a dog with a bone did most of the thing afterwards, so I cannot really say what the process was. But I did add some like previous little sounds, like I called those crazy kalakalakas. They were like they were like wood hits in the second drop, like the that part. They were like little stick sounds, which were going crazy and stuff like that. They were actually inspired by one of my previous songs that I never got to finish. It was like a long time ago. And yeah, in the last part, when the song switches to 37, that is when I brought back like the Odyssey, but I pitched it down. And yeah, that is track 4. Okay, user -1. You can go ahead and say what you did.
Okay, so basically what you need to know is, like, in terms of describing, like, vocal ranges, I'm sure a lot of people know about falsetto, which is when you kind of, it's like a very high voice that is very different from your natural voice. It sounds like this! And it doesn't really, it sounds very squeaky and weak, typically. And then, of course, you have this voice, which is, like, I guess it's either head voice or chest voice. I'm not quite sure, but it's like your kind of normal voice. But there's something below that called vocal fry, which is when you start trying to speak lower than what you can actually say with your voice.
From below your diaphragm.
It's the register below the modal voice.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, my vocal fry, I'm able to control it really well if I, what's the word? What am I trying to say? Hang on, give me a second.
Ingressive.
Yeah, I can use my vocal fry range very well if I do it ingressively, which means like breathing in to vibrate my vocal cord instead of breathing out. And so that makes it sound a lot stronger and deeper. But the catch is that it means I have to, like, make all of the phonemes in reverse, basically. Or I guess inversely is how you'd say it. So, like, the T's and S's and SH sounds and stuff like that can be very hard to make. But I'm sure if I practice more, I could get it to sound pretty okay. So, with that out of the way, let me try and demo what the voice sounds like.
Here we go.
Greetings, everyone. This is me, the robot, and I will destroy all of humanity if you don't give me $1 by the end of tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good day.
I just want to say, that in the like when user minus one did the vocals, I had to add like a little what you call it bit crush, some down sampling, and I feel like it sounded really great because I don't know, it ended up being more robotic sounding, and it like
Yeah.
error, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Before track 5, I wanted Ren and I to talk about like the video for track 4 because the lyrics were awesome. I have to credit Ren
Yes.
for doing the lyrics, like writing them, and I actually did some of the images for the lyrics, but Ren was the one who thought of the effects and the stuff to add like for the text.
It was a team effort. I put the things into the video, but Aeromax put in basically all of the design to, make it not just static text or the most easy effects I could find in my video editing software. Yeah.
I also added some like stars in the background. I mean,
Yes, the stars are honestly, I think, the single biggest improvement we made to that scene.
Hell yeah. Okay, now speaking of lyrics, I also contributed to track 5, which we're going to talk about now.
Oh, okay. Well, it is now my time to have actual input. What was that?
That was the first 2 notes of the last track. It was an F, and although it was chords, but it was an F and then an E. Anyway.
In order to talk about track 5, well, first of all, I didn't really do any work on any of the other tracks. I only worked on track 5, and I was by far the person who did the most work on track 5. I arranged it, I composed it, I produced it, I did the vocals. User minus one did write the epilogue or the coda, that is solo piano.
Yeah.
And also, along with Ren and Aeromax, worked on some lyrics. So, in order to talk about track 5, I need to go back to when we were conceptualizing the story. We kind of had a VC meeting about what the story for the album would be before we started really doing very much with the tracks. And
oh yeah, I remember.
my idea, which may have been suggested by other people, I think Wad kind of supported what I was saying, was that the last track on the album be pretty tonally different. So the track was codenamed Bittersweet Departure. And what we kind of arrived at as a group is that the narrative of track 4 is that after Spoogly's adventures in tracks 1, 2, and 3, they're kind of obsessed with finding more, with going further, with pushing the limits of Tram Zen to find out what else is out there. And Spoogly goes too far. The hyperdrive malfunctions or something, and Spoogly falls out of Tram Zen. And that was actually a really weird point in the visualizer, because up until the start of track 5, there were no actual videos. There was like the picture of Oogly, and that was pretty much it. So very suddenly, the style switches from 3D animation to live action.
Yeah.
And also, the style becomes a lot less electronic. It starts kind of electronic, but shifts away from that as it ends. And that's all part of that tonal shift that I really wanted to convey when I was working on track 5. I had an intention to work on track 4 a little bit because it was going off the rails. I love extremely dense harmony and counter melody and all that, odd time signature changes. But it was written in FL Studio, and I was the main person tasked with track 5. So I kind of just had to work on track 5, and I barely got it to a point that I'm proud of. Track 5 was really interesting in the conceptual stage because we decided that it would be a good idea to collect all of the motifs from the rest of the album and put them in track 5 and sort of rearrange them as distorted flashbacks to what Spoogly could have had, what they lost by going too far. And before I started actually collecting motifs, I wrote some sketches for track 5, and those ended up becoming the track 5 motifs, which symbolize memories fading and getting distorted. And so what happens once I start bringing in the motifs is that the track 5 motifs are interweaved a little bit to sort of represent how memories are changing over time. And so because of this unique property of track 5, I ended up having to finish it last. Like I had to have solid motifs from each of the 4 tracks before I could really finish track 5. I should have gotten started on integrating those motifs a little bit earlier, but there's always next year. And so it was the last track finished, and we were working on it and the visuals until the absolute deadline, which was extended by a day and allowed us to do a little bit more work with track 5. But that was a wild few days right there.
The last few days, like the last 2 days especially, they were like the breaking point of the album, or maybe the making point of the visualizer.
I mean, track 5 is pretty high stakes from a narrative point of view. It ties everything together and offers a perspective that we don't really get in the rest of the album. And that was quite the burden.
If I recall correctly, the visualizer, like we finished working on the track 5 visuals like 1 hour from the release, from the deadline.
It was less than that.
It was less than that, yep.
We submitted with exactly 2 minutes to spare. And then we didn't even have time to watch the final visualizer before we had to submit it. Which is also why, if you look very closely, everything starting around the middle of track 3, the visuals are like 4 or 5 frames ahead of the music. So yeah, if you look at all of the lyrics in track 4, they are slightly out of time, which is what happens when we work too fast.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you push things to the deadline. The important thing is we still got all the music in there. The music sounds pretty dang cool. The story's all there. The visuals are all there, even if they're not perfectly synced. And man, it felt good to be done, and it felt great to...
It felt incredible for me to finally have track 5 done.
Yeah. I
mean, the only thing I could have really done better was started collecting the motifs in the earlier stages of composition of the other tracks, and I guess just concentrated a little bit better. There was kind of a fundamental limitation of the production of track 5 that caused me to have to push it a little bit.
Actually, speaking about track 5, I want to notice the fact that Ground, Ren, Zastri, and I were all in one call while finishing the song up, as well as the visuals. And so we got working. So I wrote some lyrics in the end of the album process, like the just ash and snow yesterday, the words I spoke. That part, I wrote some lyric ideas that followed the user -1's lyrical structure. And
I had to do a lot of cutting and rearranging to get everything to fit in track 5. It was way harder than I expected it to be. Getting all the motifs to fit in was one thing. And then also the lyrics. There were so many lyrics put out there, and they didn't fit into whatever part of the song that narratively they should be, and I had to cut a bunch of stuff up, and I ended up not really recording as many lyrics as I wanted to, but everything was there for the narrative to work, and that's what really was the most important, because that affects the entire album.
Yeah. I remember we had less than 2 hours left, and I had to handwrite the lyrics of the entire song, and dang, it took so long. But
you're lucky that I was there to look at how intricate your writing was and no, you gotta make that simpler. There's literally not enough time to write like that for all the lyrics we have.
Yeah, I had to export them. I was shaking. I mean, you were also shaking, Ground. From what I remember, you were also sweating.
Oh yeah, it was really weird. I was in a constant cold sweat. Maybe it was from sleep deprivation, maybe it was from nervousness. It was almost certainly both. So the last chord of track 4 is in 37 Ito, and the reason for that is because all of track 5, I decided pretty early on, would be in 37 Ito, because I've remarked before that 37 Ito has kind of a liminal quality to it. It distorts intervals in a unique way, but still represents them pretty accurately. And so it ends up having a really interesting sound that I thought would work really well for the melancholy tone of track 5. So as I was getting those motifs together, I was kind of just transcribing everything into 37 Ito by hand. I had some MIDIs, but I just mainly used those for rhythm because I had to kind of go by ear to understand where exactly that would fit into 37 Ito. And Ren did a little bit of work on that, putting some of the motifs into 37 Ito and sending me a MIDI over. And one of them was in swing for some reason. The track wasn't in swing that it was from. I don't know how it happened, but I just went with it. So the entire really important part of track 5, the middle section, is in swing just because of that one thing that I decided to go along with. Why was that in swing anyway?
So it was in swing because when we were early in the drafting for track 3, I wrote this little sketch just to give an idea of what I was feeling, and we just never removed it from track 3. Like, that sketch only appears for the very, very beginning of track 3, and it never appears again. But it was this goofy little melody, and we just kept it. And so yeah, I wrote this melody, and then I layered in the thing that Zastri was working on to just see how they fit together. And that just became the start of the track by the fact that we never asked to change it. So for the entirety of the development of track 3, this little melody just never left, and it was just still in swing despite none of the rest of the development of the track being in swing.
That has kind of happened to me sometimes in my own composition.
Oh yeah, there's more of that melody in track 5 than there is in track 3.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's almost more like a preview when it appears in track 3 than it is actual track 3 motif.
Oh, I think it works out.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's like finding the value of your friends only after they're gone.
Oh yeah, that's
Wait,
beautiful.
that's actually so deep.
Yeah, track 5 is deep. I am goth. That is the point.
Yes.
The ashes of the journey. Also, speaking of the title, the cigarette hitting the rock. Do you mind telling us about that?
Oh my gosh. I am so glad that I accidentally made that mistake. Yeah, people decided, I didn't decide this. People just kind of told me, "All right, we think that track 5 is going to be called Ashes of the Journey." And I'm like, "That's a great track, but why Ash?" And then I looked through the video that I recorded. I'll talk about those in a bit for the visualization for track 5, and the cigarette I'm holding hits the rock and the ash kind of splashes out onto the rock, and it looks amazing. And that's pretty much the last thing that happens in the whole album.
Yeah, apart
Yeah.
from I Feel Alive.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Also, just to say that, in the lyrics, when I was writing some ideas for the lyrics, I was like, just ash and snow yesterday because of the snow in the video and the ash from the end. So maybe oh yeah, this could be a little callback to the title, just ash and snow
I'm
yesterday.
so glad I had a chance to keep that just because it worked rhythmically. Although I did have to
Yeah.
rearrange some of the lines that you gave me to fit with the rhyme scheme.
Yeah. Also, about the video, I don't want to really sidetrack, but I Ren and I, we thought of the fact that, oh yeah, maybe we should play little flashbacks from the previous videos, but in a descending order. So we go from the 4th track to the 3rd track to the 2nd track and to the 1st track, even though they are not really uh similar to their motifs, even though they are not really, that they are not relevant to the motifs. They do work because we're basically going backwards. We're reminiscing about the previous encounters that we've had.
Yeah, this was surprisingly convenient. I was deep into editing at this point. This is after we'd had the extension, after I had taken not enough sleep and not enough naps, and just lots of figuring out what on earth is going on.
We all took a while to recover after that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We got to this point where we had track 1, 3, and 4 mostly visually locked. Track 2, Aromax and I were working through like getting all the animations fine-tuned, which was very, very long process.
Don't even get me started on track 2.
And basically by that point, for me it was like 9 p.m. No, it was like 11 p.m. when we're finally getting done with those visuals. And then I had this blank space in track 5. And it's like, what the heck do we do here? And we talked about it and thought about it. And it's like, the easiest possible thing to do here, render everything we have, play it backwards, and chop it up. It's the only way, because we're out of content to add in that space. And so it's like, what's the best story to tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just turned out like the best way we can tell the story here is, yeah, this is a flashback. We're reminiscing. Let's just run the track back. Now, the really funny thing, even though all those frames for that section are played backwards, none of the visuals are visibly obvious that they're in reverse.
I actually had no idea it was reversed until now.
Yeah, all the 3D renders look about the same forward and backwards, and the couple clips I pulled from Aromax's stuff in track 2 are still pretty similar front and back. There's just not a lot of very obvious motion with direction across the entire album. So they're in reverse. You just have to care that they're in reverse. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
I noticed the fact that they were like moving backwards in like my visualizer, the corn and the like vines moving.
I actually think this works out really well because the only video in the album generally that has very obvious motion is the video that I took for track 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything just kind of fell into place narratively. I'm really proud of how this album turned out.
Yeah. There's this funny thing where we went in with this intention of making something with a really strong narrative and like really executing on that throughout the entire work. And then we got down to the realities of just actually trying to make that happen on a time budget. And so only about half of those intentions came through, but the result still shows a great narrative and still captures a lot of what we wanted to capture. It just happened by coincidence of us making the right decisions, not thinking about the in-narrative all the time, and just letting the narrative happen and shape our time crunch plans.
This has been a really great learning experience for us. I just know that the next SVS is going to be even more ambitious.
Yes. But I feel like the process of the album is ironic because it's like the same thing that we want to convey with this album, with the, like, maybe we should not be too greedy. Maybe we should like aim for like, we don't want to learn everything, stuff like that. Well, in the editing process, that clearly showed.
Oh yeah.
Adventure is like us trying out new things. The next EP will be us refining that process.
True.
I hope the theme works with that.
Okay, go ahead and submit the theme, refinement.
Refinement.
Yeah.
Polish.
We'll find a way.
So when it came to the motifs in track 5 that I implemented, I pretty much only worked with the melodies. I had to do a lot of cutting to get the melodies to work rhythmically and such, and to not be too long, because another thing that we had to consider is that we knew how long the rest of the album would be. We had 2 minutes and 54 seconds left, and so I had to tune track 5 to be the exact length. And in fact, the video that we uploaded is, like a few frames short of 15 minutes exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had, I think, 16 frames to spare.
I'm glad my effort paid off in that. So I took these melodies without any harmony, without any rhythm. I cut them up. I reharmonized them. I added a bass line, and you can hear in the album, I love my counter melody in the bass line. And then I added drums and all of that. And it came together in kind of a, not very many instruments in that middle section are electronic. And I think that's kind of an interesting narrative choice, really, because of all the flashbacks. So as I was doing this, I spent about 3 days or so working really hard, crunching for track 5 to get finished, both the audio and the visuals, because I was also recording all the visuals. So as all of this was happening, intermittently, I would go out I think I went outside once really late at night and twice really early in the morning or something over the course of 3 days or whatever to go film. The first thing I did, we were all in VC together for this, actually. We were kind of talking about what are we even going to do for the visuals for track 5. And I was like, what if I just went outside? I mean, I was the one who made Spoogly because I found a ball pit ball around my apartment and glued some googly eyes to it, and everybody just ran with the idea. I have the original Spoogly. What if I put Spoogly on the original rock where I took that picture and walk up to it all slow and edgy looking with my chipped nail polish and my cigarette? I still have not finished smoking that cigarette, by the way.
Huh?
Yeah, I never actually finished the cigarette that I was filming with. I wasn't really in the mood, and I just haven't smoked since that. And that shot with the cigarette was all that I recorded that night. It had just snowed, which was really lucky. And then the next day, the snow melted, and that was really disappointing because I was talking in the VC again and we were like, we don't have enough content. I need to go outside and film more stuff. But it was probably like 5 a.m. or something, like 1.5 days later. And I looked out the window and it snowed again. And I was like, guys, I was sleep deprived. So I was like, guys, it snowed again.
Yeah, I was like losing my mind. Wait, really? You know, kind of like that. Also, just a thing, when the snow melted and stuff like that, the 5th track, the video for it was actually just like spoogly falling. It was falling like, you know, it was Xeno's video of spoogly like floating, you know, with a white background. And I just remember when Ground finished filming all of these videos, she sent them in a drive. I remember laughing so hard. I don't know why, but like without any other sound, just like spoogly plopping onto the snow was the funniest thing.
It was really great. I'm so glad I convinced everyone to use the shots of me rolling spoogly down the slide. So what I did with this on the morning where it snowed again, I went out as soon as it was light enough to really be able to see clearly. It was still snowing. It was cloudy. There was snow coming down. I was like, I need to go somewhere to record anything. Turns out there is a playground that's like a few minutes walk away from my apartment. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll go there. And in fact, that actually does work out narratively because that's Spoogly trying to replicate the fun of the adventure back in the real world and not being able to do it.
I didn't even realize that. Oh my goodness.
I didn't realize that either.
We're all learning so much about this album. We all have our separate headcanons.
We are so smart. We don't even realize it.
And so I filmed my walk on the way to the park. There's supposed to be a shortcut. I couldn't find it. So I was like, well, I might as well film my longer way around. And that ended up being really useful because we used almost all of that footage because we just didn't have enough to fill track 5. Yep. I found the shortcut on the way back. And so I was able to go back early the next morning after the deadline was extended because we didn't have a slow motion shot. I had forgotten to film anything at a frame rate higher than 30 FPS. The snow had melted by then, but that's fine because all I had to do was go back to the forest, point the camera at the sky, and just throw Spoogly in the air and film it at I filmed it at 240 FPS because that was the highest my phone could handle. And so that was the last thing that I filmed. But most of that filming was at the playground on the morning before that. And for the shot where I rolled Spoogly down that really tall slide, I couldn't hold it. For the smaller slide, I actually took a dustpan and shoved it onto the end of my broom and put Spoogly in the dustpan and then dumped Spoogly onto the slide. And that's how I got the first slide shot. The second one, I couldn't do that. So I made a phone stand out of a snowball. And I put my phone on that snowball, pointed it up at the slide. And I'm like, all right, the snow is fresh. I have one shot. And it ended up working out perfectly. I recorded Spoogly rolling down the slide. It was great. I'm very happy about how that turned out.
Yeah.
I'm still the memory is a little bit fuzzy for me on account of not sleeping very much. And so then after I was done filming all that stuff, I came back in and to finish everything. So for the lyrics, user -1 initially suggested that I use a vocoder because I didn't really want to try singing on account of it being more production. I just didn't have very much time. I ended up not having time to use the vocoder, but that turned out not to be an issue because I just whispered the lyrics, most of it, which works because I don't want the lyrics to be the focus. I want the melodies to be the focus. I want the motifs to be there. So the lyrics are just me kind of speak whispering rhythmically. I talk in the left channel and then it moves over to the right channel and my whisper slowly turns into like kind of an anguished yell. Why is this reality? You know, that sort of thing. Not the most flattering, but it worked. It ended up working out. And I got that mixed, and that's the first time I've ever actually put any lyrics in one of my recent songs.
Yeah.
And it turned out pretty nicely. I think that actually might become a stylistic thing that I use in the future.
Yeah, I'm really glad with how the lyrics turned out in this song. Just one thing, Ground. When we were in a VC, I remember, so Zostery, you, and I were in a VC. I was like working on the, the lyrics. I was like writing them. I was just like handwriting them separately. And yeah, I wanted to say, oh, Ground, by the way, you are, I forgot what I wanted to say. But you said that, okay, I'm going to record something. And you forgot to mute. So what I heard was like I heard a really loud, I feel alive, multiple times. And I was like, oh.
Oh, that would have been so creepy.
That was like so creepy.
Yeah, I did a whole bunch of takes of I Feel Alive. I didn't have enough time to do retakes for some of the lyrics that I recorded. I think I did like 3 takes for the first part of the lyrics, and then the lyrics at the end, I mean, it's just me kind of doing a spoken word sort of thing. I did that for 1 take, but I did that all in 1 take, I think. But for the I Feel Alive, that's the last line in the album. I want it to sound good. And so I was just, I feel alive. I feel alive. I feel alive. Oh my gosh.
Alive.
Talk about a Zen horror movie, eh?
And I was like, hey, Ground, so about this. And you were like, I feel alive. I feel alive.
I feel alive.
I'm glad I forgot to mute that one time then, because that's very funny.
The funny thing about the I feel alive thing is that is extremely ironic because I'm pretty sure none of the people who were like sleep deprived actually felt alive in that moment, like when finishing the album. So I just think the irony of that is really funny.
I mean, sometimes when I go outside and do the thing that I did in that last shot of the whole album, go out into the snow with a cigarette and be edgy. Sometimes I just have to remind myself, I feel alive right now. This is what life is about. These moments, this kind of melancholy that you're able to romanticize, that's what makes life feel real. That's what makes me feel alive. And so that was a really interesting coincidence that Xenharmonic came up with that lyric and was like, I don't know where you'll put this in. Maybe it's a little too cliche. And I'm like, no, that's exactly how I feel.
Perfect.
The last thing about that shot is when we were talking in the VC about the visuals for track 5, I was like, guys, what if I just went outside and recorded a video of me walking up to Spoogly? Wouldn't that be wacky? And everyone was like, all right, do it.
Yeah.
All right, bet. And so that's how we decided on the visuals for track 5.
And hey, it worked.
Yeah, it did work.
Speaking of the visuals of track 5, so the last video of the cigarette hitting the rock and stuff, there were 2 separate videos that D made. My awesome adventure. And
that
magic
video.
movie. Oh, the clay. So about Spoog Clay. Let's talk about Spoog Clay.
It's erasing.
It's a moldable eraser that I made to kind of look like Spoogly, just as a joke. And then Xenharmonic did ask me to film it, even though it never made it in the final video. And then I randomly decided to make a video of me just squishing it, and then D turned that into a magic movie for whatever reason.
It was the like the most
I didn't hear about
violent
this.
thing I've ever seen. You should most
violent thing I've ever seen. That's what the title of the album, the episode's gonna be. Xendergarten episode 8, most violent thing I've ever seen.
SVS 5, most violent thing I've ever seen.
Something that I may not have mentioned is a few months ago, like while we were waiting for SVS 5 to start, I just kept on thinking over and over again about how I wanted SVS 5 to go and how I wanted to sort of expand my musical horizons and like make the music feel a lot more emotionally authentic and also very evocative of some sort of like actual narrative. And I'm glad that it turned out that way because sometimes it seems like a lot of people in the Xenharmonic community can get so wrapped up in the theory of everything that they kind of lose sight of the expressionism of music and whatnot.
That's a really good point. I mean, the point of Zen is to express yourself better.
Yeah. And I may not be the first one, but I'm at least one of the people who had the idea that the flow of the SVS 5 EP is that it should start kind of adventurous and then get all happy in the middle, but then get really dark and depressing. Because even though I might not seem like as stereotypically or as conventionally goth as Ground is, I do have an edgy side that I don't show that much.
The goth has been rubbing off on you.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But like even before that, like more recently I've started been more interesting in like very like dark and deep and kind of like painful topics, but like painful in a very like gratifying way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That is what makes life feel real, according to the previous example that I gave.
I will totally agree.
You romanticizing your own pain. I mean, I think the reason that people who are neurodivergent, mentally ill, or whatever end up being more likely to be goth or something is because romanticizing your own pain can be a coping mechanism. It's just a theory I have. I have no idea if that's actually true.
I romanticize happiness because I'm D, and nothing will change it. I am D. Hi, I'm D.
I romanticize both.
I actually had to cut out most of the lyrics that you in particular wrote because they were too depressing.
That is interesting. Like, especially coming from you who's like more into that stuff. I think it's so fascinating that you think some of the stuff that I wrote was too depressing.
The point is not for it to be fully depressing. The point is to make you feel bad and then make you feel like there's a little bit of hope. I wanted to end on a hopeful note because that is what keeps me going.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
By the way, Aramax, I loved how the little drawings that you did over the text for track 5 turned out. I thought...
Oh, thank you.
I knew you were going to handwrite it. I didn't know that you added those little drawings until pretty much the end. And I'm just glad that you added those because it's a really nice artistic touch. We are so lucky to have your artistic abilities here.
Yeah, we really are.
We have to congratulate Ground for turning 1 year older. Happy birthday, Ground!
Happy birthday, Ground.
I'm still 22, guys. I know I look and sound like I'm in my late 20s, but I'm not.
Maybe it's Ground's imaginary birthday. You know, like, you have your real age and your imaginary age.
Yeah, it's just the imaginary part of the complex number.
My age is 15 plus 7i.
Interesting.
No. It would be 15 plus 3i because you have 3 eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually a really good joke. So,
thank you.
As of recording, the first SVS stream, which we weren't in, was yesterday, and the second one is tomorrow. This episode's going to be out after the streams are all over, so I really hope that we win something. I hope people like it and don't put in the Twitch chat that they absolutely despise my visuals and the track that I wrote.
I hope people think my drum and bass slaps hard enough. I hope people think the kick and the bass are properly mixed together because that's always a nightmare.
I hope we get best theme interpretation.
I hope it's immediately obvious to listeners that I'm a bassist on account of the kind of wacky bass lines I wrote for my stuff, that I doubled on xylophone. I've probably talked about doubling on xylophone before. I hope the ending of our album makes the SVS stream viewers feel alive.
I feel alive.
Hi, my name is
alive.
Z.
I feel
My favorite
alive.
number
I
is
feel
3.
alive.
I feel alive.
I feel alive. I feel alive.
Alive is alive.
Hello, my name is Z, and my favorite number is 3. 3 is the best number
Your
ever.
mother
I
feels
love the
alive.
I
number.
feel alive. I feel alive.
Your mother feels alive.
Welcome to Xendergarten. I feel alive. I feel alive.
Da 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 da
Okay, let's do it.
da da.